Good morning, Karen Wright Russell. All my fans out there, no, this is not WKNN TV, nor is it Bug TV. It's Mr. Hinkle TV. But Miss Wright has asked me to give a few pointers, and I do feel like I was a very effective teacher in both a well-run, disciplined classroom. We had lots of fun too, and we learned a lot. I am dressed up today. I have my tie on, and you may wonder why there's a stepladder to my left. Perhaps you're right, depending on where you're standing. Anyway, that stepladder is not a stepladder, it's a cat toy. My cats love to climb that ladder. The first thing I'd like to say, smile a lot. You get a lot of mileage out of smile, and it's contagious. You smile and seem happy, it carries over to your kids. Stay positive but sincere. What I mean by sincere, I clearly recall when I was teaching at Akron, we were doing an art project for Thanksgiving, just drawing a pilgrim scene. As I circulated throughout the room, and it's always a good idea to circulate throughout the room while students are working on some sort of assignment that you just gave them. And I looked at hers, and I really couldn't tell what it was. Not an artist, this girl. And I remember back at UK being reminded that you should always have a positive comment about students' artwork in particular, but all their work too. Anyway, I looked down and I said, "Oh, what nice colors you're using, Susie." She looked up at me, and I could tell that she knew that I knew that she was not an artist, and that I probably couldn't even tell what she was doing. And I don't think that was very effective. So be sincere and honest about staying positive. Don't make things up. Have high expectations. Research is very clear. The more you expect from a student, the more you're going to get. Much of this research, at least in my day, remember I've been out of this since 1997, had to do with special needs kids, but it works for all kids. And that's a big problem I had in tempering my expectations to make sure that they weren't too high, that they weren't too difficult for students. And I got a lot of help from the teachers at Akron in helping me, and Joe Hager also, in tempering my expectations, but I can't stress that enough. Parental involvement is very important. And yes, once every 9 weeks or whenever the reports go out, effective parent-teacher conferences would count as parental involvement, but I mean more than just that. Get them into the classroom. Let them see what you're doing. Let them help you. Let them tutor a small group of kids in some math skill, or let them read to the kids. You know, a lot of this depends on what level that you teach. But parents, many of them are more than willing, if you are willing to accept them into your room, and they could run off papers, whatever, you know, give some stories about their life experiences, about some jobs that they've had, anything to have them in. And this is on a regular basis. This is not just a one-shot deal, but on a regular basis. And in times of crisis, in times of trouble, you will be so glad that you got the parents involved, and you become to know the parents much like you get to know your students. Modeling is very important. You can model politeness, yes ma'am, no ma'am, please and thank you, and you'll be surprised over a period of time of how many of your students will do the same thing. So the modeling that you do of things like positivity, calmness, and patience, very important. And you, again, you'll observe over a period of time how your students, because you're really one of the most important people in their life, and Many of them want to be just like you. So modeling is extremely important. Fairness and trust. I don't know how kids by the end of kindergarten beginning to first grade, well, that ain't fair, Mr. Hinkle. What do they, I mean, you know, of course we know as adults life is not fair. But they learn that through osmosis or some procedure that I don't know. So make every effort to be fair. And trust. If you want them to trust you, you have to trust them. And yes, little kids have a tendency, some little kids have a tendency not to tell the truth. And you have to work on that, and they'll have to rebuild their trust, but model trust, they'll trust you. Motivation is extremely important. Had a long-standing discussion with Randall Powers, who was the first dean of University of Louisville School of Education. Is it a fact that one can teach another how to motivate others? I say yes, you can. There's something out there that motivates everybody, or just about everybody. Let me give you 4 examples. A couple of these are extreme, but I'm just trying to stress the importance of motivation. There was a little kid, I'll take that back, it was a big kid, big as me, at Muldrow, who was probably average intelligence, but real lazy, very, very lazy. Tried everything on him, couldn't get him motivated. Well, at Muldrow we was in a unique situation. Our class was the last class to eat, and even though I don't think you were supposed to, if there were extra food, my class got to go back for seconds, for a second lunch, or a second hamburger, or a second piece of pizza. You get the picture. Well, finally, one day, one Monday, after the math test, I took this big boy aside and said, until you get busy, until you get your homework in here on time, your notes signed, and you know, a whole list of things, you're going last for seconds. It was only a couple of days later, we had hamburgers. Robert was very used to going back and getting his second hamburger. Remember, he was as big as me. I mean, literally as big as I am. Only took one more day. Robert got busy, blah, 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 blah. I could go on and on. But what motivated Robert was food. And maybe he was hungry because he was so big, or maybe he was hungry because he didn't get enough to eat at home. I don't know. But food motivated Robert. Another kid, Paul, another big boy, average, about, you know, pretty much average. Couldn't get him to do anything. I mean, nothing. And had him write sentences and all the other mean things that mean old Mr. Hinkle used to make kids do. And even broke a paddle on his butt. Didn't work. Come back after Christmas, I took him out. He come back the same way, and he got in some sort of minor scuffle. I took him over by the girls' bathroom, the side back door, if that makes sense, at Ekron. And I grabbed him by the shirt, and I got right nose to nose and said, blank, if you don't get busy, I'm going to kick your ass. And I don't think you could probably get away with that today. And that was kind of, even back then, that was, I was making myself liable, perhaps. But I saw something in this boy that I knew something would bring out. I've seen him twice as an adult. The first time he ran across 4 lanes of Dixie Highway just to give me a hug and say hello, Mr. Hinkle. So I reached the boy. I spoke his language. There was a little girl. She wouldn't do anything. Plus, she had a real snippy little mouth on her. And she was the daughter of a master sergeant at Fort Knox, and her mom was really in charge of the discipline. I don't know what the dad did, but he must have been gone a lot. Anyway, went through a series of things, had her mom in a couple times. I visited the house once, lots of notes that the mom signed and returned, phone calls and whatever. I had a log of all that. So after 7 or 8 things, strategies that did not work, ended up having to paddle little Susie. That afternoon, Master Sergeant, 6'3", 200+ pounds, came in, and he was smoking. His ears, I mean, I can almost really see smoke coming out of his ears. As always, I simply stated as calmly as I could, Mr. So-and-so, if you will sit down and give me 5 minutes and let me explain what led up to little Susie being paddled, I think you will better understand the situation. Basically what happened, Mom wasn't telling Dad anything about all this trouble. Not these parent conferences, not this home visit, not these phone calls, not these notes. And after I told him that, he apologized to me for coming in such a fashion, and he exited, and I would not want to have been his wife when he got home. One last one, and this is the most severe, and I've gotten different reactions to this, but again, this is just an example that there's something out there that motivates everybody. Had this kid above average, well above average, very intelligent, very bright, very personable, as a matter of fact, but lazy, didn't care. We tried everything. His parents came in, we talked to him. His dad, if I paddled him at school, his dad would paddle him at home. His dad came in and paddled him once at school, and blah, blah, blah. You know, we did everything we could, and up until Christmas, and nothing really seemed to work. I mean, this kid was getting by. He was making C's and sometimes B's. He was doing okay, but not doing what he should be doing. Comes back after Christmas like a house of fire. I told you the cats like to climb the ladder. I hope I hope the video, I hope my battery hadn't gone dead too. Anyway, after a couple of weeks of excellent work, always having his homework on time, always having his notes signed, whatever, just a changed little boy, I had to ask him, Pee-wee, what's up? What's made the change? He looked at me serious as a heart attack, and he said, Mr. Hinkle, my dad said if I don't get busy, he's going to kill my guinea pig. I don't know if Dad would have really killed the guinea pig. Whoa! Whoa! You okay, Pumpkin? Here you go, buddy. There you go. Oh, there you go. You better be careful. Excuse me. Take it easy, Pump. Anyway, there's the next thing is you must teach some school skills along the way, and even before you begin to do some things in the general curriculum. Active listening. Good active listening. I must take a break here. Hold on.